Hey, it's Tamu and welcome to Thinking Out Loud. I'd recently made a video talking about the games coming out in 2024 that we should look forward to, and with some of Game Fest now come and gone and Gamescom on the horizon, I'm sure we'll get a look at many more games coming out both this year and more importantly, next year. So with that in mind, I want to talk about games coming out in 2025 that we already know about that have this pending release for that year or that we already know are officially coming out in 2025. As it seems that there is a lot of blockbuster titles and it looks to be another one of those golden years. Say what you will about 2023, but it was a stacked year full of incredible games to look forward to, from Baldur's Gate, Armored Core 6 to Resident Evil 4 remake and any other game that you can really think of. It came out in 2023 and we are still catching up on that backlog that was last year. And I think 2024 has been a good year for breathing room to catch up on those games, but I think next year is going to be another stellar blockbuster year. So without further ado, let's really just get into the games I'm excited about and I feel you should be too for what's coming out in 2025. Obviously, I'll kick this video off with the most anticipated game that everyone is talking about. It's a little known game called Grand Theft Auto 6. You might have heard of it. Yes, the next big juggernaut title from Rockstar is slated to release in 2025. And after the wait, spanning longer than a decade, we'll get another GTA game. And it'll be returning to Vice City, which is my personal favorite location, being a Vice City fan. It's still too early to really tell with this one as to what it'll encompass, feature-wise, but there's been the talks of this couple having this Bonnie and Clyde kind of dynamic, and it'll be interesting to see where this story goes. Overall, I'm really excited to see what the story is, because it will be really interesting to see how GTA 6 really does evolve the formula and iterate on this in the way that Rockstar generally do. I mean, you look at the finer details that are found in a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, and speaking of Red Dead, I'm really interested to see how they go with telling a more intimate or serious narrative here with GTA 6, if they will tap into what they kind of went for with Red Dead 2, because I feel like that story really was a slow burn, but it really did tell such a compelling narrative, and I think Arthur Morgan was one of the best written protagonists in a video game, and it'd be interesting to see where they go with that type of writing, and also the open world elements that have been found sequentially since GTA 5. Only time will tell, and we'll see just how GTA 6 pans out. Next up, we have Judas, which is the next big game from Ken Levine, the mind behind the BioShock series, and I'm keen to see what Judas has in store for us. There have been many publications and influencers who have got some time to play the game and have described this experience as one that is similar to BioShock in a aspect of flavor and the mechanics, but also plays more like a roguelike, having these roguelike elements thrown into the mix here and different characters that you can align yourself with that will facilitate different outcomes to the storylines. I'm personally quite keen to see more about this one. It sounds really interesting, but it did really sound like it was still in the process of development and relatively in early stages. So I reckon late 2025 we might see something about this, but only time will tell, and I'm hoping that we can get our hands on Judas sometime soon when it's ready, because it looks to be a very interesting game that follows suit in that formula that they've established, but is taking a pivot into a really different direction that I'm all for. The next game that I'm really excited for is the sequel to Hideo Kojima's latest wacky and wild universe that is Death Stranding. I've always fallen in the camp as one of those people who enjoyed it back in 2019, and I'm keen to see here with the sequel how they continue to evolve on the formula for the different gameplay systems that provide this asynchronous world, the continuous updating and evolving based on the actions of other players that you never physically see, and the way that the world kind of terraforms and transforms based on the player's actions. To this day, Death Stranding really is one of those games that I have a lot of love for, and I know that there is this long stretch of cutscenes and there's this daily life of a delivery man kind of gameplay that really isn't for everybody, but for me it really did just give me this weird sense of journey that you undertake, and it was the little things that people leave behind, these sheds of light that you find on your journey, and the more cinematic stuff, despite it being very Kojima in the way that it's told and those lengthy cutscenes, I'm all for it, and I'm just keen to see him double down, if that's even possible, on what he delivered the team delivered back in 2019, and I'm all for all of that, and yeah, I'm really highly anticipating this game, and that is slated to release in 2025. Next up, whilst it hasn't been officially confirmed, it's Insomniac's next big game, which unfortunately was the subject of a lot of recent leaks, and that is of course the Wolverine game, which is sounding like it'll be a different kind of game compared to Spider-Man. And for me personally, I've tried to avoid the leaks and wait until Insomniac are ready to showcase this game, and I'm personally so interested to see their spin on this character and really just get to dive in and see how they will handle a Wolverine game, because I really love the Spider-Man game, the way they have crafted Spider-Man's movement, his abilities, and the general approaches towards things like web swinging, which really does service this open world game really well. But I feel like Wolverine being a more confined game or like a linear open hub game, kind of like similar to the God of War games, weirdly, I think would really work well. And I feel like getting to have this more like hack and slash action kind of combat would be awesome, and just seeing the carnage that Wolverine could really just unleash on the world would be insane. And I'm so excited to see this too. And I'm wondering if they'll lean into the more stealth elements of Wolverine as well, like if you are able to like hide in the bushes or climb up on trees and drop down and take out enemies, like there'll be stuff like that in it, because I think it'd be awesome. But I guess like time will only tell. But this game was first revealed back in 2021, and I'm thinking like where we're at right now with it, I'm imagining we'll see it sometime soon, and my guess would be 2025. The next game is one I'm hoping we hear more about this year, potentially at Gamescom, as I've been hearing a lot of rumors around this actually getting more information, and that of course is In Exile's Clockwork Revolution. This is another game on the list that does really carry that sort of Bioshock energy here, and it looks like the main character will be jumping between time periods, making choices that'll alter history and the outcomes of the story. This is one of those games that it didn't really give away too much, and there only is a reveal trailer to go off, but from what I'm seeing here, I'm really liking this steampunk aesthetic, and I'm liking this kind of, I'm getting feelings of like this immersive sim sort of energy from the game, and the idea that you can jump between time periods and alter time and, you know, interact with people that shifts the world really does sound like a fun sort of experience, and reminds me of something that Arcane would make with a game like Dishonored or something like that. So I'm really keen to see how this like pans out and where In Exile go from here, because it's a very different sort of game for In Exile, who are known for the games like Wasteland. So yeah, I'm really excited for this, and I'm keen to see more, hopefully at Gamescom. After the recent Xbox showcase, I'm interested to see how Playground Games jump from making games that are more in the racing nature with Forza Motorsport and their new take on the Fable series. At this point in time, we still haven't really seen a lot of gameplay. I mean, they say that all these trailers are in-engine, but I don't really know. Some of it does seem like cutscenes and stuff like that, so I'm really keen with Fable just to get some like 5 to 10 minutes worth of solid gameplay, and I'm hoping at Gamescom we do get to see a bit more of that, and the Game Awards I'm hoping we get to see more of that too, because Fable is something that means a lot to people, and I've only really dabbled around with Fable 2, but Fable as a series has always had this certain type of presence, and it was one of the big hitters back when the Xbox first revealed itself back in the early 2000s. Fable was up there alongside Halo and many of the other big juggernauts that came with the Xbox brand. So I'd be interested to see how Playground Games hope to revive this and, you know, make it stand up there with modern day Xbox. It's a tall order, but one that I think is achievable. Next up, we have Monster Hunter Wilds, which is slated to release in 2025. And originally, before Summer Games Fest, we only really had that one reveal trailer to hold us over. And now we have 2 more trailers, both coming from a Capcom presentation and the Summer Games Fest. And the more that I see about this game, I am insanely excited to just get my hands on it and play. And I've heard a lot of influencers got to play this game at Summer Games Fest and said it is incredible, and describing it as this like seamless experience, where Monster Hunter World was really, you had a hub base of operations and then you would set out on these expeditions. It sounds like Monster Hunter Wilds is hoping to just be one big seamless transition between the hub and the open world, where you just set out and go on adventures. And if that is the case, that is insane and a big breakaway and evolution for the formula. Monster Hunter World was really just a testament to how far this series has come and how much it's evolved. I played a bit of Monster Hunter 4 back on the DS and I had a good time with it, and I thought it was a lot of fun, but seeing World, it really did just evolve so much, and Wilds is looking to double down and just take it one step further here, and I'm honestly quite excited to see where they take this. And if you are someone who's looking to get into Monster Hunter, Wilds may be a great jumping on point. This next game should come as a surprise to nobody that I enjoy this a lot, and I'm looking forward to this game heaps. It really just came out of left field and blew me away. It is Expedition 33, and it is slated to arrive in 2025. And we saw this at the Xbox showcase that just recently passed. It's looking incredible. Has Ben Starr voicing the main character. The concept and idea for the story is compelling, and it really just hooked me in from everything, from the soundtrack, the turn-based combat. Oh man, the turn-based combat. It really gave me vibes that spurred like Lost Odyssey in my head, and it reminded me of just that type of energy where you get to interact, press buttons, and execute like a little kind of quick time event between each person's attack. It looks to be insane, and it looks to be a good amount of fun that can really hook a lot of people who don't like the more traditional style of turn-based combat. Me personally, I'm a sucker for it. I love that type of stuff. And I think that Expedition 33 is hitting all the right notes. It has this incredible atmosphere, and I'm keen to see more about it and eventually play it. The next one has me optimistically cautious, and that is, of course, is Konami's attempt at remaking Metal Gear Solid 3, and that is Metal Gear Solid Delta. It's a remake and is being developed by an internal studio at Konami. I'm hoping that this game is a great revival and chance for fans to relive the peaks of the Metal Gear series. I still think it's a little weird starting with Metal Gear 3. I can understand chronologically speaking, but I don't know. I feel like Metal Gear 1 may have deserved a bit more, but at the same time, I am all for Metal Gear Solid 3. It is a masterpiece of a game, and I'm just cautious and hoping that they do an incredible job here. And I'm also cautious with the fact that Konami recently did the ports for Metal Gear Solid, and there's been some like hiccups there. Some people have had mixed receptions to how that landed, so I'm hoping that Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta really is just a step in the right direction. Thankfully, we'll have David Hayter reprising his role as the voice of Snake, and only time will tell if this is actually good. There's also some rumors that that might actually be coming out this year, but I'm putting it in the next year category because that's where I feel it'll land. Next up, we have South of Midnight, another game that was teased at Xbox's recent showcase, and I'm really liking the atmosphere and the aesthetic for this one. We haven't really seen enough gameplay to get a full vibe of what it actually is going to be like when playing it, but overall it did look fun from what we did see, and the visual presentation, the sound, and the way that it kind of has like this inconsistent frame in its cutscenes. It kind of reminds me of the Spider-Verse films in terms of how it's like this choppy type of movement animation style. Really did I liked it. It was a standout. It's something different, and I do think in that respect it does stand out as a interesting different game that I'm like, oh yeah, that exists. I'm keen to check that out. It looks to have this like third-person action platformer type of energy to it, but that's just me kind of speculating and guessing because we really haven't had enough proper long-standing gameplay to really get a proper look at it. So I'm hoping that we can unveil more of that and get a better look at it, hopefully at Gamescom and later this year, because yeah, like from what I've seen, from all the cinematics to that little brief window of gameplay, South of Midnight looks really charming, but there's not enough there to really be like, yes, that's one coming out, and I'm hoping it's good and it's worth putting on this list at least. Next up, we have Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra, and I know that the superhero fatigue has set in for many with this genre, and I get ya, I feel ya. But honestly, I'm liking the vibe they're going for with this one. And in the fact that this will be centered around Captain America and the Black Panther offers a new perspective into characters that we don't generally see in their own standalone video game. And I'm really keen to just dive into that universe setting and these characters. It also helps that Amy Hennig's new studio is the minds behind this new game. So I feel like the chances of this being good are pretty high and pretty likely. I think at least in the storytelling department, I think there is a lot of good foundations here. And I think that as a video game, we probably are in good hands with this one. And only time will tell, like I've said with many of these games, but we'll need to see some more gameplay. We haven't really got a look at that. We just got this cinematic, but this one is on the cards for 2025. So I'm hoping we'll hear more about it soon and we'll get a good look and it'll be excellent. Okay, speaking of games that we haven't really seen much about, we've got Obsidian's upcoming fantasy Avowed, but we've also seen them talk about The Outer Worlds 2. I'm really excited to see what they do with the sequel, as I'm one of those people who actually really enjoyed the first game. It was much lighter and tighter of an experience than something you would expect, because people have been comparing this to like Fallout and Bethesda's types of open worlds. And in that respect, I would say that The Outer Worlds is a lot more like constricted and pulled in, and it really just focuses on the storytelling, the choice, and those types of aspects that I think people really love with something like New Vegas. It's not as wide and expansive, but it definitely has that element of choice. And I'm really keen to see where they go with The Outer Worlds 2, how much they expand upon this, how much they really build and add more choice, characters, customization, things of that that nature, because I think Obsidian have this really good approach to writing, choice, exploration, and these inner conflicts that are really just primed for this universe they've created, this hyper-privatized kind of galaxy, and I think it'll be interesting to see where they take the sequel for this game. Last but not least, the new Nintendo console, and what games could potentially release alongside it. I'm gonna go full tinfoil hat mode here, but I'm thinking the new console will launch with Metroid Prime 4 and potentially a new 3D Mario platformer. That's where my money is, and I reckon in this Christmas period they'll probably start releasing and teasing the new sequel to Pokemon Arceus that's also set in the Kalos region, and then we'll have those games as well, all coming out within the next year, 2025. I'm just keen to see what Nintendo have been cooking, because it is clear that era of the Switch, as awesome as it was, is now doing its final lap before we transition into the Switch 2 or whatever is next. I'm really keen to see where they go, and now that we have an announcement as well for Metroid Prime 4, I think we're in a good position to know that that will be a next gen game, and I think that this new Pokemon Kalos, like Pokemon Z, I believe it's called, it's set in the Kalos region, it's like Pokemon Arceus, I think that'll also be a next gen experience too, and I'm hoping it will be, because I think Arceus had a lot of good bones, but I think ended up being a little hollow, and I think there was a lot more they could have really done with that game, and I think that a sequel on a new console could go real hard. But those are just my thoughts, and overall this has just been my opinion and what I think's coming out that looks pretty damn good. There's probably some stuff I've missed, and if I have, let me know in the comments, because I always love new games to look forward to. But I think next year is shaping up to be an incredible year for gaming, and I think that we're in good hands. I think 2024 has been a good year to just take a breather and relax. There's been a lot of good games coming out, and I get that it's winded down a bit after the spectacular 2023. There's been a lot of heartache, restructuring, and job losses as well that have really just hindered the experience and excitement for this year in terms of games, and I really do hope with time that those things can mellow out and things can start to just get back on course. We can get more good games, more job stability, and things of that nature. But I think with 2025 we'll see more good video games and hopefully more stability and hopefully just better times all around for the industry. Anyways, that's been me, and this has been Thinking Out Loud, and let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, let me know what you're looking forward to. Take care as always, and have a good one.